This mod has received the largest update it has ever gotten in the year plus time that it has been out. Post Finem, an alternate history mod for EU4 in which Carthage was victorious in the Punic Wars along with plenty of other lesser historical deviations, spans the entirety of Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa, adding hundreds of new nations, roughly 100 new mission trees, over 1,000 events, dozens of government mechanics, national disasters, and plenty more than that. This update, the 1.4 Hellenic Dawn update, greatly expands the Hellenic region of the map, if you can believe that, ranging from Anatolia to Armenia and down through Egypt, which is just so much free content to enjoy that it almost makes your head spin. There is a lot to show off, way more than I could do in just one video, so check out the mod. It's going to be linked in the description so you can experience it yourself. If you do like modded EU4, you'll like this channel, so make sure you subscribe. I'm sure we're going to be covering plenty more in the future, as well as hopefully some potential future Paradox titles. Also, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy it. That really helps me out a lot. So yeah, giant rework. Basically everything from here over to here, down through here has all been reworked. Tons of small nations like Epirus, Delphos, Docros, Pontus, all of these guys have received total reworks to their mission trees. There's a generic shared mission tree for all of the lesser nations that we didn't get around to making dedicated content for. And we've even got some larger dedicated mission trees for nations like Cappadocia, Syria, complete with tons of disasters and all that stuff. Egyptos also got a massive rework, an entire rework of their mission tree, and they now have a disaster that they have to worry about from the Kemetic peoples in the deserts in the south. I'm sure we'll see more on that in this video. Additionally, we've added like 20 some provinces in the area. You can see the province density has been increased quite a bit. And I think I added something like 7 new nations in 1444, as well as like 5 or 6 more releasables. There's also 2 formable nations, Lydia and Pergamon, both with extensions to the mission tree. I believe that Lydia gets a 5 long, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mission tree extension. I think Pergamon gets 8 deep mission tree extension, so lots of content to experience. There's also been 2 new religions added. Zalmozios up here, which is kind of a Dacian Hellenic mix. It's even got its own custom mechanic that I made myself, and I'm really happy with it. Basically, you get points from, you know, being a good Zamosian or whatever, and they also have secondary religions that you can choose various bonuses for. And the other is a Heliophorite, which is essentially it is the Hellenic pantheon, only the primary deity instead of being Zeus is Helios. They use a modified version of the Protestant mechanics from vanilla, so if you've played vanilla, then you'll be familiar with how they work. Oh, and Armenia got a massive update. They have branching missions as well as a mission tree extension upon formation of a potential greater Armenia. So lots of fun content to have. We've also added a couple of extra buttons here in the decisions tab before unpausing. You can see living legend mode, which enables the potentiality of a living legend. And this was a heavily requested thing. Basically, this is an analog to Anbanar with their Great Conqueror or whatever it is. I can't remember. But essentially, yeah, whenever somebody dies, there's a good chance that a living legend will be spawned. Not good chance, but like a 5% chance or something like that. So at any given time, there should be at least one in the world of Post Finem that exists. We also remove migratory natives because they just suck up performance, and I don't want to deal with that. And this last one was more of a issue with people kept using mods that were incompatible, so I just incorporated a mod called the Same Color Subjects mod. What it does is it allows you to choose which ones you want. I'll go with all subjects, and you can see everybody that has a subject, whether it is a vassal or a tributary, they are all the same color as their overlord, and it just makes it look nice, in my opinion. I think it looks quite nice. When they break free, they'll get their free color back again, with the exception of the satrapies of Persia. They have their own unique color, but they still operate the same way. The update is live right now, so if you want to go check it out, you can download Post Finem. It's going to be linked in the description. If you want more information or you just want to join the community, Discord is also linked in the description of all my videos, so check that out as well. Either way, if we want to see what happens, we're going to have to turn it on up to speed 5 and unpause. We do also have Cypriot separatists here on Crete, which is now 2 provinces actually. And yeah, generally you'll see them break free. It really just depends if these guys want to not be lazy and transport some boys over. They don't usually do it. It's kind of funny. We've also got 2 sea tiles in the Aegean now, and I split the Black Sea into 2 sea tiles over here as well. Just like small little things to kind of modernize it, because, you know, giant provinces are kind of ugly in my opinion. You can see Armenia is having the Artaxiad crisis. Crimea just broke free from Bulgar. So this disaster is going to fire. There's nothing they can do about it. And the AI will collapse. There's no way. I've never seen the AI not collapse. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Of course, down in the south, we do have Heliopolis, who are the Evangelos, which is a Christian nation that generally does quite well over in the Arabian Peninsula for, the early game. And we'll see how things go with them in the long term. Egyptos has a lot of Kemetic stuff going on. And they also start with a usurper regent here in Isidora Gidos. And you got to keep an eye on her because oftentimes the nobility will try to coup her. And yeah, you'll see how things go with that. Yep. You'll have that. So now you can see here, they have less than 1 stability, but they have manpower. We'll see if they start incorporating a little bit more men into their armies. Their manpower usually will dip and the Kemetic Revolution will begin ticking up. The AI can avoid it, but I think they usually get it. Yeah. You can see here, it can possibly be avoided. It's only going to happen in a couple of years. If they can get their stability up to at least 1, then they will avoid it. But oftentimes it will fire because the AI is dumb and they won't stab up to avoid a disaster. But that happens sometimes. Up in the north, the Ashig Ilkhan is losing some of their subjects. Akhmong has broken free. Barut over here is probably licking their chops. They are the kind of the main guy who likes to conquer Ashig and take that Ilkhanate early on. And it does look like that Kemetic Revolution is going to fire. And what this does is this spawns Kemetic, zealots, as you would expect. And generally the way that it works is if they break 2 rebels, they will collapse into Kemet, which is the, the traditional name for Egypt, rather than Aegyptos, which is the Greek name for Egypt. And if they can get 1 more stability, they will actually finish up the Kemetic Revolution. So maybe I made it a little too easy on them, but I've seen the AI collapse to them more often than not. So it's like 20 to 30% of the time you see them collapse. Looks like they're doing okay this time around though. Oh, and I forgot to show Athens as well. They have a dedicated mission tree as well as an estate here, the College of Demiarchons, which the Demiarchons are essentially the cardinals of this religious thing. Athens is definitely a unique nation. If you don't know, they are the Archonic Hierophantate. They are the essentially the Pope, the sacred holy head of the Hellenic world. Oh, actually, maybe they won't come out on top here. They've got a lot of loans and a giant deficit when they are reinforcing their armies. They do have some rebels. It looks like they've won, but if they get decked on war, like Heliopolis could very easily attack them right now, and there's nothing that they would do to defend themselves. Like they would stomp them. Oh, and shout out Kypros, they did break free. That's cool. Nice color too, nice flag. Made it myself. Meanwhile, over in the west, you can see that Numidia has broken free from Carthage. There was an independence war underway with the usual suspects of Gaul defending them. It's kind of 50-50. I think Carthage usually will come out on top just because, they might get mill access, but then they lose 1 battle and then they just get stack wiped because the AI is pretty dumb. So generally, I've seen Carthage do fine. They've done okay. They're kind of like the Timurids of this mod, where they have a bunch of subjects who are disloyal early on, but if they can rein them in, then they are absolutely broken. Lithuania gobbling up some land over here in the Baltic. Oh yeah, and Ashig is just dead. They are gone. They are still the Ilkhan though, but not for long because Barut has attacked them, and it is the Claimant War, so they're going to take that Ilkhanate. Yeah, losing 1.42. I don't think they're going to pass any reforms there. Okay, they can stab up and avoid it if they want to. We'll see if the AI wants to avoid it. They're pretty bad about making these sorts of very simple decisions, I think. And they lost the stab before they could stab up to stab 2. So yeah, that's kind of silly. Ooh, we got some war going on over here. Newt Stormbringer, the god general king of Nordenvik, has attacked Celtica. A holy war apparently, and yeah, it looks like they are coming out on top over there. That is a mega scary stack to see there. And at the same time, it looks like Trinovantes is attacking to take some land over here. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Wonder why Celtica didn't defend them. Probably just because they're in the war, but I'm surprised it didn't break their tributary status. Persia lost 1 of their satrapies over here in Baluchistan, and Barut is now the Ilkhan. They passed 1 reform, and it looks like they are gaining it slowly but surely. If they can pick up a couple of extra vassals over here, tributaries, they will be absolutely cooking with gas. Over in the Italian Federation, we've got our steward of Serenza, high priest of Nova Moria, Salerno. Salerno. And we don't have a Grand Marshal just yet, but the Grand Aderum of Roma, Malachi Serranus over here, is doing fine. We have the Bulwark in the east, which is an incident that will is basically these guys, Ostholm, request an entrance into the Federation, and they were snubbed. So they remain on their own over here. Ooh, okay. And these guys went with De Hund. So generally, Ostholm will offer them a personal union early on in the first year or so of the game. And I'd say like 90% of the time they accept it, but it looks like they declined. And they've got a really good Aldred here. And it unlocks, I believe, branching missions down in here. I'm not 100% on that. Long story short, there's a crazy amount of content in this mod, and it's very hard to keep track of it, even if you did make a large portion of it. Yeah, Armenia's got a couple of rebels. They're not feeling so hot. I don't know why they haven't stabbed up, man. Now they're down to 0 stab again, and they've got lots of rebels, and their manpower pool is absolutely atrocious. They're gonna get war deck. There's no chance that they survive much longer. The boys over in Peloponnesia they've got a teeny little cute mission tree, but obviously it's not forever. It will be replaced upon the formation of a certain kingdom of Sparta, if and when they were to decide to do that. Macedonia, who is ostracized by the Archon, has 2 personal unions here. They've got Caria as well as Aegistrion, which is kind of like these guys took a bunch of land and they were granted the territories taken by Pontus in the Pontic Wars. So that's kind of the lore behind that. And because of Macedonia's current situation, they're not feeling so hot. They've been in decline, and they are not able to integrate or abandon personal unions. So they are stuck with these guys. And they do also have their war cabinet organization, which you can see has some pretty sad big effects when they are sub 50. Once it goes over 50, it's all gravy from there. Yeah, if they can't get it up over 50, they can get squished pretty early on, despite being very large. Macedonia, very much not just red Ottomans. They're kind of teetering on the brink of disaster in the early game. Oh, and there you go. They have broken free. They are no longer doing the Kemetic disaster. So Egyptos on the up and up, and they can finally start working through their missions here. Meanwhile, Heliopolis is doing their thing. They're doing some sacred subjugations, which will allow them to collect their subjects of the sacred orders here. The more sacred orders they have, the faster zeal will rise. Once zeal hits 25, they will oftentimes get a center of reformation in Heliopolis, their holy city. And once it reaches 100, well, if you know, you know. Ooh, the Norse over here in Lagerland not feeling so hot. The Saxons just steamrolling over them. About to get full occupied. They actually just traded capitals. So kind of a funny thing when the AI base races and then, you know, the AI loses. Ooh, very cool. Capananata over here has gone Conceros, which is they are Christians, at least a sect of Christianity. They're kind of, I would say, closer to kind of the Latin Christianity that we know of. Meanwhile, over in the Federation, the Pirates of Isle have been granted access into the Federation, and it looks like they have become a Principate under Roma, a special subject. Very cool. The names are just so good. The Civitatum of Isle, Praetor Urbanus Octavius. I love that so much. I made the mod, so I'm biased, but like, we cooked, bro. We cooked. Whoop. And Donavia just got full annexed by Macedonia, so now they've got some goofy borders. Armenia is getting ganged up on by their former subjects, so yep, they're gonna die for sure. Oh, and it's crazy what difference 10 years can make. It looks like Heliopolis took a province over here and is probably invading them again. Meanwhile, Carthage took some land over here, and yeah, they lost some land to the natives, if you will. Heliopolis continues to absolutely dominate over here. Delphos, sadly, is about to fall to the Macedonians. Big Kashubia looking a little spooky over here, and it looks like Barut is kind of slow to expand, but they've got another tributary up here in the Karelian lands. Gaul has definitely blown up, taken land over here, and as well as over in the lowlands. Very funny that Lagerland, which is literally like the lowlands, is over here in Dortmund or Throttmund. And yeah, okay, so Nordenvik fell under a personal union of Norway, and Celtica destroyed them, even though Nordenvik was winning that war against them earlier. I don't really know what happened with that, but either way, Trinovantes basically ate all of the Brigantes, as well as the Cornovi, and the Welsh here have broken free and have taken a bit of land, with only 2 more provinces in the Cornish lands still controlled by the Celts. We've got a couple more incidents here. The question of the Concedos, and Lombardia seeks protection. So they have allowed Lombardia into the Federation despite being Romana heretics, and they have elevated the Concedos. So you can see here, Capitanata is an elector despite being a heathen within the Federation. So lots of tolerant policy around here. You can see that zeal is continuing to rise, 0.242 per month. with an Evangelos Center of Enlightenment spawned over here in Heliopolis. So it will convert the lands over here slowly but surely. And yeah, they've got quite a few sacred orders. Though it does look like Siraj over here is pretty irritated because Persia is supporting their independence. That could lead to a little flashpoint. Yep. Kind of funny to see that this Kolkidos guy over in Armenia is the Athenaeum controller, but reform fervor is going up to 44. So yeah, Reformation is very much on the horizon. Well, there's an interesting one. So Moria has vassalized or gotten a personal union over Epirus. They are loyal, and they also conquered Nekharot, which is the Jewish lands up here. So that's interesting. I didn't think you'd expect to see that today. Olympia has been conquered by the Macedonians, but Athens remains in the hands of the Archon. We've got Menefer breaking free from Egyptos, and Syria yoinking some of the land all the way pushing up into the Delta region. Persia continues to do well, pushing up here into Amigria, as well as into Kashmiristan and Magan over here. They've had Babylonia for a little bit. I just think I forgot to point it out before. Persia is such an interesting nation in Post Finem, and this is like from the beginning. This was patch 1.0. It's really interesting, very unique play style. Highly recommend them if you're interested in a sort of unconventional EU4 run. We've also had another thing over here, Corfu and the Federation. So the Adoram of Roma had demanded the return of Corfu, which was federal lands, or at least was deemed federal lands. Whoever the former owner was, don't know who it was. Looks like we've got cores from Epirus, Corfu, and Nekharot. Looks like Epirus. Looks like it was demanded, and Epirus said, nah, fam, you can have it. So Corfu, a Hellenic prince in the Italian Federation. Dakros has shifted. They are now a Slavic syncretist faith rather than Hellenic. So that's kind of cool. That gives them 10% regiment costs. So shout out that. They also have maxed out Sacred Omen. And it does look like they are working on some of this stuff over here as well. Although that Omen is going to be dropping with their Clericoi being so angry with them because the AI is so dumb about yoinking this stuff. Balancing this is so hard because the AI just either is really rigid or it is like really crazy, just does random stuff. Super, super hard to balance. Over in the Rus Bulak, we've got the Ilkhan of Khans pushing through a couple more reforms. Looks like we're about to get efficient subject management, giving him an extra Diplo rep, as well as a 10% subject liberty desire for all Khan and Kashigitans. Also, holy Finland, that is a big spooky Finland, huh? And the Reformation is so close, I can taste it. I can taste it. Also very funny to see Odrsim, which is Orosdemi, however it's pronounced over here. Very much a fringe Hellenic nation, Serbia. Zeal is spiking, so it's kind of funny. We have like a lot of things that kind of hit critical mass right around 1500. So we're going to go there. I know that I've been talking a lot. I'm very passionate about this mod, if you can't tell. But I really want to make sure you guys can see some of the crazy, fun, and interesting outcomes that you can see in this mod. Like Egyptos, absolute behemoth early on in 1444. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're destined for greatness. Macedonia, behemoth in 1444, only expanded by like 15 provinces. This, perfection. This is actually perfect. Carthage, not crumbling, despite basically everything being against them early on. I just love it. I have a lot of fun with this. And here we have it. Paradosi has spawned with a center of Reformation popping up here in Pontus, as well as down in Seleucia, both of them embracing it as their state religion. For those interested, the lore behind the Paradosi is Reformation is basically just like, it's a conservative movement within the Hellenic pantheon, pushing away from the centralization that has happened in the previous centuries and millennia, where the Hellenic pantheon has become much more centralized around a central figure, the Archon, who is the head of the faith de facto, and he dictates a lot of the kind of day-to-day questions that people within the faith may have. Paradosi aims to reject that and to return worship to the household, to the temple, and not have to answer to a higher priest, so to speak, up the pecking order. So things are about to get very chaotic very quickly. I promise you that. Even more chaotic than what's going on over in China, with Ming completely being destroyed as you would normally come to expect. Oirat, kind of spooky too. We'll keep an eye on them. And we've got our first colonies over in the New World with some province in Brazil going to Belica. who is generally a pretty good colonizer. Macedonia pushing over into Crimea, trying to get Mare Nostrum with the Black Sea, and Gaul continuing to push up here, bordering the Federation, so that's going to be a good one as well. Also, the Suebi are doing pretty good. Normally, they're just kind of over here. A lot of the Barkanesh nations over here along the coast are getting beat up on, with Moravia getting pushed out of their land in Catalonia, so yeah, they're not looking good. Ah, and there it is. Theodokos has formed. The Christian world has hit that critical mass of zealousness where they agreed, let's form one giant nation. It's kind of like the Rashidun Caliphate. That's a lot of the, correlations that get drawn to it. And I think that's totally reasonable and a totally fair assumption to make, because it is a, militaristic, very zealous, theocratic monarchy. And yeah, they're looking to conquer some land in the name of their faith. Shout out Pictland. They've broken free. That's pretty cool. Actually, that's a rare tag. I don't see them very often whatsoever. They got their own flag, their own national ideas, and apparently they're Norse, which is weird. They're normally not Norse, but they are this time. They're also a Brittonic tribe. So there you go. What do they say? The difference between fiction and reality is that fiction is supposed to make sense. Yeah, this definitely doesn't make sense, a lot of it. And we do have the assassination of the Adoram has happened, and it looks like the Italians are leading the league, and we've actually got a pretty solid spread here with Italia, Gaul, Saxony, Ostholm, Carthage, and Zorim joining in on the the Romana side, with basically most of Italia and most of Iberia going in on the Punic side. If they were to declare the war, it would be incredibly even, which is really cool. We may say a Romana victory in the League War. That would really tickle my britches, I tell you that. Oh, and the Ilkhan here has passed half of their reforms. In my opinion, 1500 is when things really start to just like get rolling in Post Finem. Oh, and the Heliophori have arrived, and Macedonia getting quite a bit of centers of conversion going on over there. China has somehow gotten even worse, if you can believe that. I think there's more tags, and if not more tags, there's definitely more border gore. Japan has united though, and that's pretty cool. I feel like that's been a slow one, but yeah, it looks like Ashikaga united Japan. Korea with perfect 1444 borders, minus Jeju, which was yoinked by the Japanese, and Kilwa pushing up into the Horn of Africa, as well as down into the Cape of Good Hope. So shout out Kilwa, they're having a really good run. Songhai is the major guy in sub-Saharan Africa, and over here, Theodokos has annexed basically all of Egypt, and the Alexandria trade node is going to be a nice boon to their economy. Obviously, Carthage has fallen. They've got Cyrenaica. They've got a couple of provinces over here in Carthage, but they don't even own Carthage. That, my friend, is for Barisa. Gaul has pushed a bit more into Iberia, and it looks like Gadiria has broken free from the Suebi, so I'm not sure if they're having a hard time, but time will tell. Ostholm is completely gone. They were quite powerful over here for a minute, but it looks like they got snaked by Tyrol, Moria, and Bergaland. Lithuania is now no longer in Lithuania whatsoever, except for the rest of the Baltic and even some land up here, because Finland has also been destroyed, and Sweden looking big and spooky. Colonially, we have the Norwegians over in Newfoundland. Suebi has landed in Bermuda. The Caribbean so far going to the Britons. Suebi also getting lots of land over here in North Africa. And interestingly enough, this one here is from North Africa with Adana. So they're colonizing too. Bellica and Suebi seem to be the primary boys in the south though. And at the 100-year check-in, Gaul, the #1 great power, which is kind of nuts to think about, they will probably be colonizing. So we'll see how things go with them. Though we do have Macedonia looking pretty big and strong as well. Once they embrace institution, they will surpass Gaul for the #1 spot. Theodokos in the #3 spot with not much development, but also needing to embrace institution. Suebi, followed by Kashubia, Persia, Bellica, and then Illyria in the top 8. The League War was won by the Adorim, and they are forcing through these reforms, making a ton of growth actually. And we are just a couple of years away from Barut here, forcing loyalty to the Ilkhan, and he's going to start incorporating his tributaries and form the Ilkhanate tag. So that is going to be definitely something we want to keep our eyes on. And at this time, there is essentially one Greek nation. There's a couple of small things over here, but Macedonia is the big boy. We've got Cephion over here, Aletheia there, and Moria, Cephalonia, and Crete. But yeah, it's mostly just Macedonia. And even better yet is that they're Heliophori, which is absolutely wonderful. For those who are curious, they get tolerance to the true faith, land fire damage, and they've got all of these options here for kind of like their tenets of their faith. Right now, they get some tech costs, innovativeness gain, a little bit of diplo rep and relations, as well as a little bit of institution spread, which is nice. That means they're probably looking to embrace an institution, or maybe not. I don't know. manufactories is around the corner, I suppose. Oh, and the printing press spawned in Damascus. That's pretty good. Obviously, Theodokos is doing quite well, actually eating up Zulfar down here, who is kind of the head of faith of the Islamic faith. But yeah, Muslims are not thriving in this timeline. That is definitely a fact. Who is thriving, though, is the Saxons, and as well as the Romans, apparently, with a certain revoke going along over here. It's not called a revoke in Post Finem, but yeah, it's clear that's what's happened. Illyria looking very good, but Saxony pushing all the way over here, and Swabia taking the land in the south, because Swabi formed Swabia, meaning they gave up their monarchy, and I believe they're a republic now. Bellica has formed Gadrium, and they get free content with that, and they're going to need it because a lot of it is colonial, which you can see here. We've got some Celts on the east coast with some Welsh up here in Karnataka. Honestly, just a lot of great variety. We've got the Gadrimites, we've got the Swabians, we've got Amazing, which is these guys over here, and then South America is essentially entirely colonized by Gadrium and Swabia, so that's pretty dope. Africa continues to be kind of stable for the most part with Kilwa over here, Songhai over here, and then Congo over here, but looks like we've got a couple of colonization spots happening. China has actually rebounded with Jin being the mandate, with Caradel, Sour Yogurt, and all these guys over here in Manchuria as their tributaries. It looks like Dai Viet is about to bend the knee as well. India has a bit of content in Post Finem, mostly in the south, but Gujarat, Marathas, and Jaunpur, as well as Bengal, but not Bengal for long, doing pretty good. And we've got Punjabistan for Persia, we've got Caspia and Kolkis over here in Tigristan. So they have grown and they're actually looking really solid. Also funny that this Albar guys, they're Evanglos, they're actually Zoroastrian in 1444, but they're pirates. So that's pretty funny. We've got Christian pirates here on the coast. Oh, and Nordheim has formed, as well as Ilkhanate. Ilkhanate looking really good. Not good enough to be a great power though, apparently. Probably just because they suck at institutions and they haven't embraced basically any of them. Regardless, Macedonia is the number one with Gadrium right next to them, and Saxony also in the very close, Persia and Swabia, as well as Roma. So we've got like the top 6 are all neck and neck. Jin, assuming they could embrace institution, would actually go up to like number 3. So that's really solid. As with Theodokos, actually. So the entire top 8 is like all neck and neck. Of course, we've got one more reform to pass, but the Dominaris Princeps has been passed. The corruption of the Eagle Throne is the last incident, and I believe that's probably the last one we'll see, because they are looking to pass this reform to proclaim the Gloriam Romanum, which I'm sure you guys can understand what that would mean. And things are slowly but surely moving along. I love it. I just love how different the other regions of the map change, and a lot of this stuff is not predictable. I try my best to make sure that things happen dynamically. That's something that I've always appreciated in mods, and I try to do it in my own one. Well, we've got about 100 years left, and safe to say that the Hellenic Dusk has happened despite the name of the patch. The Hellenes are essentially gone. They're existing for a couple of provinces in Greece and Anatolia, and that's basically it. The rest of them, basically all Christian or Punic. And for that matter, the Druids and the Germanics are mostly gone as well. Romana, also mostly gone. It's just like, it's Punic hegemony here. But at least Jin's doing pretty good. Korea's actually expanded. They pushed over into Japan, and they're actually at war right now to take more, so that's pretty good. Like I had mentioned before, Rome has formed. Serenza actually has got a bunch of land in Germania, and then land over here. I don't know how this happened. Probably back when they were part of the Federation, but yeah. Between them and Illyria, who, I don't know, man. I got nothing. I have no idea how this even happened. Swabia and the Romans completely sliced and diced Gaul, and Gaul is just gone, with Roman Eastern Europe being over here in Celtica, Albion, and Northern Gaul. Of course, Saxony got crushed, so there you go. Oh, and very cool, Lithuania formed Zintara. Zintara is a formable nation, and they get a unique mission tree extension. So this is really cool to see. I designed a whole update around these guys, and they've even got their Pruthenia subject. They're a releasable subject, and they have pretty solid militaristic national ideas. 20% ICA. You gotta be kidding me, bro. 10 morale, 5 discipline, 10% fire damage received. These guys are cracked. And they even have their own culture that will spread. I love that. Speaking of culture, how about Roman? Huh? The Romcart peoples of Italia have been converted to the true Roman culture. They've embraced it. The colonial world is essentially all independent, with Eperon in the south and Nessos over here, which is a Caribbean nation, in the eastern portions of down here, as well as northern South America. Malaica, which is the Mexican nation, has formed and is basically all of this. We've got Welsh, Canada, and this region in this portion of the United States. And then the Celts, Swabi, and then this is a Gaul subject, but they are not, they are a subject. Oh, actually, no, it's not Gaul. It's these guys in North Africa. All right, man. So with 100 years left, we've got a religious hegemon, which is Post Finem specific, going fully stacked up for Theodokos, which is very cool. We also have an economic hegemon going to Rome. And for those who don't know, the requirements for hegemons are basically cut in half, with the rewards also basically cut in half. So it's not nearly as impactful as they are in vanilla. Regardless, number one great power in the world, Rome. No really surprise, the growth of the development in Italia is absolutely through the roof. Theodokos, the number two great power. Persia, number three. Swabia, the colonizer, in the fourth spot rather. Jin over in China in the fifth. Very cool to see a Chinese nation absolutely dominate. This has nothing to do with the mod. Like, this is just vanilla. Gadrium, a colonizer over here in the sixth spot, with Malika, a New World nation, in the seventh, and Illyria rounding out the top 8. It actually looks like there is no Empire of China. The mandate is gone. There is no mandate. They're just a regular Chinese kingdom. Wow. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before. I don't think literally ever. And yeah, to wrap it up, you can definitely see there is some serious power blockage going on. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on even under the hood. Of course, Theodokos is the big bad boy in the world. Everybody can see that. They are massive, from what, Zanzibar, I think this is, all the way up past Anatolia into Greece, even with Athens under their control. So yes, I don't think I've ever seen Theodokos do this well as an AI, and I'm so here for it. I don't know what happened where they released a couple of random provinces. Must have been some rebels in the Age of Revolution, if I had to guess, but you know, you can't win them all. Persia absolutely did well. It does look like some of their satrapies may have been gobbled up, but aside from that, they're actually doing incredibly well, very much in the top great powers, and never controlled Baluchistan, which is hilarious. Independent nation, Dustor 616 Cyrus, you legend. Ilkhanate did fine. They ended up conquering most of Scandinavia with Sapmi, their subject, but they lost a bunch of land to Illyria, who's terrifying, bro. Even more terrifying than Imperial Korea, conquering half of Japan and seemingly beating the tar out of Jin, who, keep in mind, does not have the mandate of heaven. Kaladi, who I believe is a OPM, a one province minor in 1444, is the major power over in India, with of course Persia having a lot of land up here, and Jaunpur over here with Jin in Bengal. Though it is pretty cool to see Pasai doing so good over here. They're, you know, present in 1444, and they're still going strong with the Majapahit Empire doing okay over here. So that's pretty solid as well. Oh, and shout out the Persian Malaccas, because Persia decided to get in on that colonial game. Maybe a little late, but hey, better late than never. Swabia and Gadrium continue to split the Oceania colonial region. And it looks like Gadrium actually conquered a bunch of South Africa, with Kilwa being exiled over here. But don't worry, the Zulu are here. And Amazing has been exiled to South Africa in Rogveld instead of North Africa, where they hail from, surrounded by Numidia. So very funny. They still border each other, just halfway across the world. Oh shoot, and I almost missed this as well. This is Wales, Simru, with their capital in, you know, the coast of southwest Africa. That's a thing. And Songhai is the big guy over here. Nobody would argue against that. Rome has really long borders, good name placement in my opinion, with all of the Celtic Isles, a good portion of Gaul, as well as the Low Countries, all of Italia outside of Cerenza, who seemingly lost their capital and moved their capital up into Germania, and then most of Greece over here, as well as portions of North Africa. So yeah, Rome, absolutely great showing this time around. It looks like Swabia and Gadrium kind of went back and forth. Swabia's capital is not over here. I actually don't know where their capital is. Oh, in Portuk. So yeah, they're good. They're still doing well. Honestly, I'm surprised that they got along for as long as they did, because they're both major colonial powers. Well, were. They're not anymore, because all of North and South America is independent and formables, except for a couple of provinces over here, which is all Celtic, with Celtica based out of the Faroe Islands. Gotta say though, I do love the Irish unit models. Top of the morning to you laddies. Culturally, it looks like most of the cultures were converted over here. We've got this Zaharan, Kushite, and Orichalcos being the primary religions over here, which of course Theodokos did a bunch of cultural conversion. It does look like Cappadocian was also an Anatolian, both of which are not like generally these large. They definitely had some conversions happening. Roman, of course, which I showed last time, but it does look like the Gallic cultures have been switched over as well. Like the Carnutes are gone. There's just a bunch that have been absorbed. Lingoria, I think, is one province over here, Lingorian, and Nervian, Averni, and Pictonus have taken up the most of Gaul. The Pruthenians did end up conquering a bunch of land over here, but yeah, Zintar ended up getting annexed. The New World is heavy on the Irish, Welsh, and a little bit of Ireland, which I think is the their colonial culture. Lots of Swedes, Norwegians over here, and some Valkia, which is their colonial culture. Gaetulian, Carthia, and Leptisian, which I actually think Carthian is the only colonial culture, and it's like one province. And Belican and Iberon, which Iberon I believe is their colonial culture. The Swabian cultures are also pretty prevalent with Grunwaldish and then Haldorian, Sonar. So there's lots of that going on. And Salamite is the major one over here, with Salamite being the South American colonial culture for the Barkanesh. And it's all Punic, baby. I have never seen Punic do so well. This is actually one of the most like beautiful maps I've ever seen in Post Finem. Also, the Jains just dominating in India. Like, they're not that dominant at all in 1444, but they certainly are now. New World is like entirely Punic with a little bit of Druidic over here. For some reason, there's a couple of Romuva provinces up here and some Punic, some Tengrist. It's just like, oh, what a mess. I love it. We have one Ostromannic nation and one Romana nation left in the world overall. 10 out of 10 religious map. Absolutely beautiful. You'll see very shortly why the great powers are the way they are when we take a look at some of the development here. 60, you know. Pisa down here is probably close to that as well. 58, right? Medlanum, 43, 47, like so much development in Italia. The satrapy's just been sitting around developing. 71 development in bulk over here in Afghanistan. There you go. 72 in Kokand, 67 in Jalalabad, which is a mountains province, by the way. Got a chunky 55 over here in this Babylonian province. And of course, Heliopolis, the city of God over here, 54, which is pretty good. Good enough to put Theodokos in the top 4 with 3,400 development, but Rome running away with it, 2,400 dev more than number 2. Persia in the number 2 spot, with Illyria 3,500 of their own in the 3rd spot. Theodokos with just right behind them. Malakia over there in North America, Jin in Asia, Nessos in North America / Caribbean / South America, and Eperon in South America. We've got economic hegemon still going to the Roman Empire, and naval hegemon going to Nessos. No surprises there. But yeah, this update is live right now. You can check it out on the Steam Workshop. If you are not on Steam, you can get the direct download. File will be in the description. It is in the Discord. There's a chat dedicated to it. I highly encourage you to check it out. I appreciate you sticking around if you did. I hope you enjoyed the video and you leave a like on it if you did. If you haven't already subscribed, you're missing a ton of fun content like this if you haven't already, so make sure you subscribe. And leave a comment down below if you have a suggestion of a mod or something like that that you'd like to see me cover next time. But yeah, that's all I got for you. See you in the next one.